Producer. Hey guys, happy Friday, August 31st. I can't believe it. My God, I'm very much looking forward to this weekend because it's a 3-day weekend. Welcome to the TED Show. We are live with Jen Waxman-Loyd. Jen and her very handsome accompanied person with the nice hat. I love that the club didn't stop you, by the way. That was awesome. I want that hat. You got in. So Maribel, so I'm Reed. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know you can hear us or see us because you probably know the story. I did an entire show once and nobody could hear us. So I don't know why you'd want to stare at me and not tell me for 30 minutes that you can't hear me. But that's what happens, so I always ask. So we're getting thumbs up, so we're good. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you guys on. I love those earrings. I love the way you look. We had a great conversation right before the show started. So Jen has a great history, a wonderful story, and so much to share with you guys. So I'm very happy to have her on here and excited to hear your story. So give us a little background. Hi, Susie. Hey, John. Oh, Heidi. Oh, see, Heidi loves your earrings. No cock. Oh, hold on. Put it up, Heidi. Come on. Let's see. Hey, Steve. You know this is vodka, right? Allegedly.
Blood.
Blood. No doubt. Totally cocktails. Heidi, how you doing, honey? Hey, Steve. All right. So give us a little background on you. They like to know a little bit about Jen's story.
Sure.
We joke that you weren't born and all of a sudden you love the food system world and that's where you're at. You have a little bit in between.
Yeah, I actually grew up in Longwood that most of us hail as Orlando because it's no other way to explain it. Now I actually live in Orlando.
Oh, good. There you go.
Right down the street, actually, which is great. So I grew up where food was everything. I had a grandmother that kept kosher, Jennifer. You know, most that keep kosher generally have come from a family that were in the Holocaust. So food is everything. You are lucky to even be able to sit at the table, eat, and that should be celebrated.
I love that.
So my grandma, yeah, she did not eat anything processed. She had milk delivered, did not use a microwave. It was a celebration of food and just of living and living things and just an appreciation, nothing out of a can. On the other side, I had a Native American mother. So it's two tribes coming together is what I say. So my mother always kept a garden and she canned all of the food for my family. She was a very strong mother and my brothers had food allergies growing up. So she canned everything. We went to U-Picks. I have memories of that. She went to farmers markets, you name it, plus grew and canned everything.
Before it was really cool to
Before
go
it
to
was
farmers
cool.
markets.
And I always say, I was embarrassed. Like, no one wanted to come to my house to have snacks. You didn't go to Jen's house because you're not going to have like snickerdoodles and all that. It's like, hey, you want some beans? Hey, you want a salad? And so no one was coming, you know? And I didn't appreciate that until I became somewhat of a hippie in college. Many of us do. We go through that phase. And I realized how privileged I was. And I started cooking for everybody and showing them how to cook not out of cans in a college environment. So I became pretty popular for that.
How did you do that? Because a lot of times in the college dorms, you've got the one little hot plate or maybe a little microwave.
I was lucky I didn't have to be in a dorm, which is why everyone came to my house.
I get it.
My brother was already in college, and so I got to live with him, so everyone came over to escape the dorm and that dorm environment. Yeah. So I got pretty popular that way, amongst other ways.
That's for another show, Jen.
We'll save that.
We'll save that.
So upon I actually went to Rollins College for my MBA at Crummer.
So you were business, so everything's business up to this point. Even though you're cooking.
Wasn't thinking that was my joy, my passion.
What did you want to do with the MBA? What was your
Well, I actually was in psychology and started grad school there and realized that I was taking that home and that wasn't really who I was. And my brother was going to Crummer and said, "You're an entrepreneur. You were at 11 years old. You had a babysitting ring. Like, what are you doing? Like, come on, come over here." And psychology is the root of business, so you've already got that down. So I ended up going to Crummer and had a practicum in agriculture, and that was working with IFAS, University of Florida's extension program. With a project that was happening here with an outdoor hydroponic operation, which I proved was unviable. And I went,
way. Were you not popular?
I was like, no one's ever going to hire me in agriculture, you know? But quite the opposite happened. I ended up having a job in agriculture before I graduated. I think they were looking for people that could push the parameters as agriculture was becoming a little more serious at that time.
How did that feel going from psychology to business, MBA, and then out into the...
I felt like an outcast in there.
Yeah.
First of all, most people in Crummer came from Rollins. I'm coming from FSU, and I'm a jokester. But what I realized...
Not you.
I know, it's hard to believe. What I realized, and my business partner today was a fellow graduate, Terry Brown. Terry.
Hi, Terry.
We were the ones that could get up and speak. I know that's really hard to believe.
No,
and so we kind of
shy.
We carved our way out of, surrounding ourselves by people smarter than us, which I still do to this day
Every
with
day
all of our
my
consultants, and going, I'll be that voice. I understand you and I can communicate it. And so that's where our relationship started, and that's kind of the basis of our consulting business and where we are today is I just am not the smartest person in the room, but I can take all those smarts, put it together, and
But you have this very wonderful, varied background. I mean, between psychology, business, and agriculture.
Yeah.
And of course, it is tremendous that you have a love for food and that background and cooking, because I think that gives you a much deeper perspective on all of that.
And I put myself through college in hospitality, so I understand. I did everything from working at the melting pot and scrubbing the tables. Which, if anyone's been in the melting pot,
or Winter Park,
at FSU, so
at
in
FSU.
Tallahassee, to being a hostess, to being a cocktail waitress, working at a comedy zone where I was bartender. So I learned every facet of hospitality and what it takes within food service and delivering a quality product, or not.
Right.
Or not is a big word.
So how did you go? So you started consulting, and then that must be interesting to say you're an agricultural consultant or whatever the term.
Sure, so I'll back up before I became a consultant. The job that I got prior to even graduating, I became a global marketing consultant for the largest manufacturer of microirrigation in the world. So
What is it,
microirrigation, so that's total water conservation, watering a plant where it needs to be watered instead of overspray, which causes disease and pests, and you're wasting water. So microirrigation are the tiny parts and pieces that you see in greenhouses of today's age, out in landscape, what have you, that waters where it counts, which is Antelka's tagline. Antelka.
I love it.
Which is I'm still in a relationship with that company.
Did you have to fight? Like, I'm fascinated because really what you're talking about, and I told you I was going to ask you questions,
Sure.
so I want to know. Did you have to fight to educate people that what they were doing, how they were irrigating, how they were spraying was not the right way to do it? Because I imagine that wasn't necessarily the popular way of thinking, or certainly the main populace was probably overspraying and overwatering.
At this time, this is right before the so-called green movement happened. So I was in the midst of the Burgoynian, if you will, green movement, where water conservation wasn't at the top of everybody's topic, even though that saves on your fiscal bottom line and all those things. Conservation wasn't at the forefront. When it became at the forefront, our company was primed in position. We are making the first adjustable sprays, which means we can adjust it towards the plant type. So not every plant gets watered equally. They all have their different needs, just like a human. So we were able to be on the market with that solution. So it kind of pushed me in the forefront to be talking at very large conferences and what have you as the so-called green movement happened, which led us to put on the Green Earth Expo here at the Orange County Convention Center in a grassroots movement style. We had no budget. Having traveled the world going to greenhouses and farms with my previous company in microirrigation, I launched the Green Earth Expo as our first endeavor as me as a consultant after I left that company, but brought them with me as a client.
And how was the response to that first
I would
one?
tell you, we had no budget, did it all grassroots, and we had 50,000 attendees.
Isn't that awesome?
325 speakers in sustainability from around the world. This is in 2008.
Wow.
A little ahead of our time.
But that's when you know you've tapped into this place where people really do. There are a lot of people, but probably nobody had a way to kind of all come together.
Yeah. But I made a mistake. I learned a lot. We thought we would bridge B2B with B2C at the Green Earth Expo. We also partner with a producer that
B2C is consumer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we thought if you're in a business, you're also a consumer. So why not put them together? It didn't work out so well. No. But we had a lot of, the best thing that came from that is I now have so many consultants that were there in attendance or exhibiting or speaking that became part of our team. And that's worth its weight in gold. One expo gone versus a lifetime of people that become your colleagues, your friends, and the people that really spawn creativity in you and passion. We got that from that. So at any point in time at that point, and still, I have 32 consultants in every element of agriculture and food, from distribution consultants to growing consultants to water conservation and sustainability and energy, all lumped in one, to logistics, to preservation of product, to those that can educate. I mean, that really was the impetus of that.
So when you're talking about this, when you're talking about it, I know, because I'm not as in the circle as you, but I love the whole movement and what's going on, especially in our area. But I think that people out there, when you're thinking about it, you're like, why is that so important? Why does this even matter? And is it really just a whole bunch of propaganda that is trying to scare us into doing stuff that we don't want to do? Are you just a conspiracy theorist that, I mean, I can't even tell you. I've been to some of these meetings and people are like, well, that couldn't possibly be true. So how do you answer that? What can people know? What should people know about how important it is what you all are doing?
So we really consider ourselves the intersection of wellness and agriculture. When you separate the two, we have a problem, and that's the problem we have in the U.S. right now.
Understood.
When food is not medicine and we separate agriculture, which produces our food, we become sick, and we are sick as a nation. And that's because we put food on the back burner instead of on the front.
Yes.
We supplement, we fast, we do all fad diets. It's this 1 week, is this the other. But at the end of the day, if we're not giving our body the right fuel, none of that matters.
Agreed.
And when you separate agriculture, the very source that gives you that food, from your wellness, we have a problem. And that's where we're at today.
How about all these recalls? Like, I keep hearing about recalls on stuff that you never have heard about recalls for, that have pesticides on them, which have been in the news normally. Like, there's pesticides on things and you just kind of go with the flow, right?
Right.
Or you don't have to, but you do. But now there's things like dips and cheese, like stuff that you can't even believe that there's poisons, so much so that they're recalling the entire product. And it seems like it's becoming more epidemic, more occurring more often. And then yet people will still say, well, that's just a fluke.
Yeah. We're so disconnected with our food system, and maybe that's contrived. I don't know. It's starting to change, though. It's really starting to change in Central Florida. We have so many awesome things happening. I know you've interviewed some of my colleagues and friends. Fleet Farming, Chris Castro, Ideas for Us. I mean, there's movements happening, and that is going back to connecting with our food source. How can we let a doctor be in charge of our wellness, but we don't want to be in charge of where our food source comes from?
Right.
We leave it in the hands of other people, but our very actions that we have control of every day, we just lead to marketing.
Correct. And I think I want to ask you about the marketing part, because I feel like there's a lot of people who buy, what's my favorite word out there, where it's organic. So can we talk a little bit about...
That could be a whole nother show.
Well, because here's what happens. Somebody will say, well, it's organic, Ted. Where's it from? Where did you get it? How do you know it's organic? Well, it says it on the label.
Organic cookies from China are amazing.
I bet they are. But nobody understands that. So give them a little explanation. Because I think a lot of people have this false sense of security.
Sure.
That if they're buying organic, wow, they are putting the best thing they could possibly put into their bodies over something that doesn't have organic on the label.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because we probably speak about this 3 times a week. Organic to us is subpar. USDA Organic has tried to do a good job, but they're managing a lot of people, a lot of things. When I can have a conventional, which means non-organic, spray with pesticides, what have you, farm plot next to a USDA organic farm plot, are you telling me that the water table does not collide? That when the wind blows, the pesticides, which is right here to the organic plot, doesn't go like this? When you can tell me the same animals that are attracted to that plot from here and here don't cross-contaminate, which is where we get an E. coli, by the way, in most cases. We have a problem. Marketing has done so well that we assume that organic means good.
Correct.
When we can, as I said with that example, get organics from another country that does not have the food safety laws that we have here, and it shows up and you feel good about putting it at the lunchbox of your child because it's an organic cookie, we have a problem in
Correct.
society today. And that's part of the big education championship we're on right now, which is why we're out there speaking and speaking and speaking, is organic was great when it started,
Right.
but it hasn't been challenged, so it's stayed static. And we should be here now. We like to say that we grow above and beyond organic standards, which we do in our operations. And that is no use of chemicals and pesticides. We mostly employ controlled environment agriculture, which means exactly how it sounds. We are controlling the environment within a greenhouse application. So if you've been at the land, the way we grow is the land on steroids. You walk in, there's hydroponics, there's aeroponics, but there's also organic soil bags, organic soil, which just means we haven't put any pesticides in it. And we grow and give the plant everything it needs 24/7. So we're giving it the environment in which that plant variety, and they all thrive in different environments, just like humans, exactly what it needs all the time. So when it has that, it grows stronger, it grows faster, and it grows more nutrient dense. And when it does all that, it doesn't become
Susceptible?
Yes, thank you
I
so much.
gotcha.
Glad you're here. To pests and disease that come in, which is why people feel the need to spray.
Right.
So to say that that's organic, we're doing an injustice to the way we grow and the way our local farm partners grow within Central Florida. And there are so many here that you probably don't even know. And
Let's talk about local, because I think people say I went to the local Publix, nothing against Publix, and so they're buying local. Can you explain to them what local really means? And then I think a lot of people don't know how to get local. I mean, we've all heard about it's not a conglomerate, but you know, where everybody there's a market, not just farmers market, but I don't think people are educated enough to make the decision. Where do they go to find real local, and how do they identify it?
That's a great question. The way our company defines local is within 100 to 150 mile radius of which it was grown and distributed and consumed by the end user.
Gotcha.
So it's a tight, looped, closed system, and that's how we practice. So, for instance, our new project is The Villages Grown, which is in partnership with the Villages. Huge targeted demographic of
Absolutely.
people that want to be healthy and happy. We're so excited about that. So we'll have the largest growing operation in controlled environment in the state of Florida, if not the Southeast. But our model is we are growing it that day, and it's harvested and to that end consumer within 24 to 48 hours, within 100, at most 150 mile radius.
Wow.
So what does that mean? That means hyper local. We call it hyper local because many people define local as just Florida.
Right.
Some people define local as Southeast. Some people define local as the U.S.
I believe that.
We define it as right here in Central Florida, folks, for us, by us, and then we'll replicate it as we prove this model that we believe will be very successful. However, what does that mean if we're harvesting into you within a 24 to 48 hour period? So when you harvest a plant material, just like if you were to take a human off oxygen, it starts to lose its vital nutrients. By the time it gets to you in normal transit, normal grocers, it could have been harvested in inventory, in transit, and then inventory again at the grocer 5 weeks from harvest.
Wow.
So that, at most, that's a very, that's going the distance, but many times it is within 5 weeks. At that point, you are eating 80% less of the nutrients. So that's 20% of the nutrients you think you're getting. You think you're getting 100% because you're eating well and you're eating fruits
Right.
and vegetables and this and that. It's local. Doesn't matter if it's local, if it hasn't gotten to you in a certain harvest period. I don't care if it was picked by your neighbor, put into the retailer down the street from you, but if it's been sitting there, by the time you get it, it has no nutrients.
Correct.
So we're trying to change the distribution and growing model on its head. And we have amazing backers. You know, we have the villages that their sole mission has always been to give the best to the residents, aging in place, to be healthy and happy and active and vibrant. So they were looking for this solution for a while and kind of heard about us.
I love this. It's going to be so, that's so cool.
And so we'll be not just fulfilling the residents and the community stakeholders, corporate stakeholders within the villages, which is quite large, but they want to touch everybody in Central Florida. So we already had a lot of amazing relationships in Central Florida. For instance, a lot of people don't know we're the local food supplier at Rollins College.
Really?
Yeah, the students and the faculty demanded it, and the food service wanted it, and we came to an agreement. It's the first time they've ever done it.
I was going to say, so how does that went? By the way, hi Monica, hi Bonnie, hi Tammy. I like to always say hi to them. How does that work? How do you get in? How do you get an administration forward thinking enough to allow that?
So we did it with Stetson as well. Stetson also, same. Funny thing is I'm Rollins alum and my partner here, Adam, is Stetson alum. You have an emerging demographic that is demanding this. So when you have students and faculty saying, we want this from our food service, and the food service is going, we really want it too, but we don't know how to do that at an affordable rate. The first thing we always hear is we want to do it, but we can't afford it.
Right.
Second thing we hear is we want to do it, but there's simply not enough farmers in Central Florida to meet our volume. And we come and go, wrong and wrong.
Right.
So if you're with large food service accounts, when they're purchasing it in such volume, and I can go back to the 30 local farmers that we've represented for so long, and I'll back up. We've been in the business of saving the family farmer for so long, helping them with new growing strategies so they can stay competitive, go-to-market strategies, helping them gain capital for expansion, helping them with grants. These people are all here, but they haven't had a voice. And so what we've tried to do, and I think we're doing a good job, is put a voice to the family farmer, but most importantly, let the farmer do what they do best, and that's stay on the farm.
Right.
Instead of going and doing backbreaking work like they're already doing that in the farm, let them backbreak there, but why should they have to go try to sell,
Right.
distribute, market? So when we go to a large food service account and go, the problem is you don't realize who's in your own backyard. But don't worry, come on a tour and I'll let you. Let's go meet them.
I love it.
So we put that face to the family farmer. We are instrumental in the Central Florida Farm Tour of 2018.
There's a Central Florida farm tour.
We did that this year with a lot of stakeholders in the city of Orlando. Chris Castor was part of that. We had a lot of amazing outturn for that. We just actually couldn't even predict, even have government, support there as well, where we said, you don't know this is in your own backyard here in Central Florida, and let us show you. And once you show people, and then you realize that you're going to a farm like Long and Scott Farm, which is our big partner farm, 5th generational farm, home of the Zellwood sweet corn, which many of us know in Central Florida, where you can do the farm maize tour, the corn maize tour as well. And we bring them there and we go, they're only growing on about 5% of what they have here. If you commit to purchase orders, they can maximize and grow.
Nice.
There's no way we can't meet your volume. And this is all
where
in your backyard.
Business sense comes in.
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of times, and Monica, I want to bring this up and I'll get to my point. That's always the answer. She said what a lot of people say, and you brought it up. People think being healthy is expensive. But what you don't understand is it's more expensive to then have the disease, have to deal with all of the things that happen to your body when you're not eating the way that you're supposed to eat. Listen, when I'm up here talking about it, I'm not perfect, so don't think I'm out there and I've been to the farm and I'm picking my own corn somewhere. That's not happening yet. And
it's a pay now or pay later.
That's correct. That's a great way to say it.
You can pay now and pay a little more for food as medicine,
Yes.
And think about your reduction in savings. When your food is medicine, you don't need all those supplements that you're actually paying more than your food for.
Which you don't absorb anyway. Nothing against supplement
You have
companies.
very expensive pee.
Yes, and I pay a lot for pee, but that's a whole nother question.
A whole nother. We'll do a
I
whole
made
nother
Adam
show
laugh.
on that.
There you go. We'll do a whole nother show on that. But you're right. Exactly. People don't think long term, Monica, and they don't. They think about the immediate. But I think also people are afraid of, or they don't know where to go and get it. I'm not going to name any of the big chains, but they go there and they think that's what they get it, or they think the organic label, which you talked about earlier. Where can people really go and support local, get the food for medicine? You know that it's being done the way it's supposed to be done. How can people reach that?
Well, we are part of the Paramore Farmers Market, which needs a lot more love. I mean, this is in a community that deserves to have food accessibility. The city's behind it, city soccer's behind it.
Yeah.
Our company was behind it from a business standpoint. Fleet Farming is part of it. These are amazing people that deserve to have this accessibility, but also need love from people outside of the community to come there. And there's very strict standards there that for local. Then you have Audubon Market, run by Gabby Anthrop, which is amazing.
Where's the Audubon Market?
That's in the Audubon Garden District by
Yes, by
Stardust.
Stardust.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
I mean, so successful. Such a fun time, even for if you bring your family there. Strict standards set by Gabby, who's a proponent of the Slow Food movement, which her and I met there. I was one of the co-founders of Slow Food Orlando many moons ago.
What is it called?
Slow Food Orlando.
I don't know.
It's
what that
a
is.
nod to, or an antithesis to fast food. So it's about slowing down, realizing you're lucky to just be able to
Slow
eat.
food. I got
Slow
you.
it down.
Slow
Antithesis to
food.
fast food. Connect with your family. Know your local farmer. Participate in your local food economy and food system. Which I met just amazing people there. One of them being Gabby, who puts on an amazing farmers market. But those are the two true farmers market that I know really have quality standards of who can be there.
Because there used to be a co-op too, right on, like near Princeton,
Yeah.
I think. And I don't know if that's still there anymore. And I don't know about co-ops. I think, so that's another thing. Where can people go? Like, is there a website? Is there a source? Are you the
Local
source?
Harvest would be a very good place to go. Localharvest.org names all the farms that are around you that have registered. And what they have available and when, and if you can go on site or if you have to meet them at certain places of which they engage in commerce. So that's a really good.
And then the other
support
thing that
system.
I got, so when I posted about the show, a couple of the questions I got, do I have to buy in bulk like a grocery store?
No.
Because I think people have that if I'm gonna go to a farmer or I'm gonna go to this, am I gonna have to buy 12 pounds of beef? I mean, it kind of defeats the purpose, but you understand what they're thinking.
Sure.
Is that, they're not a grocery store, they're not a restaurant, so they're not gonna buy as much, and do they offer that for just the individual consumer?
For my Central Florida people, and I know this isn't all of Central Florida demographic, but I'm going to give a prime example. There's two places that are just amazing. Long and Scott Farms, which is where the Zellwood Sweet Corn is, they have a retail component where you can go and pick your items, but also bring the family out and just connect that family with the farm of which those wares are grown right there.
Right.
And then there's also some recreation there. Then you have Lake Meadow Naturals, which is in Ocoee, which is a huge petting farm. So it's a
But you also see them on menus. I see
yes.
them on
So
local
they brand themselves.
menus.
Yeah, Dale's the farmer there. He actually was our first farmer to join Slow Food back in 2007 when we launched it. He had one chicken coop, and now he's one of the biggest agritourism sites in Central Florida. Bring the family. He's got a retail component, amazing manicured gardens with native plants, and then all kinds of animals as well. So a lot of these are popping up, as well as shameless plug. The Village is grown.
Well, as you should. So I want, because we're,
Well,
of
here
course,
it goes.
I knew we were going to go over. So I want you to share as much as you want to share. Because I
We
think
will
it's so
have
important.
two mobile retail markets, mobile farmers markets, which are retrofitted Airstreams that my partner Adam designed, where you can actually enter the Airstream, pick out your local wares that were harvested that day, purchase them, and go off. And we'll be probably starting those at our kind of stakeholder partners outside what we call the yellow lines in the villages. So that would be the rest of Central Florida. So starting at Rollins, College, Stetson, most likely the OUC, in talks with the city of Orlando. So you'll see that showing up everywhere. But we also partner with Ebony Nutritional, which has the Fresh Stop bus, which is also another amazing mobile farmers market that services in need areas in Central Florida.
Farmers market? Like, I don't. This is the thing that when I put someone on that does so much good for our area, our people, the question I get at the very end: how do I find these people, Ted? How do I get to the mobile farmers market? How do I reach out to them? Can you be the source for that? Is that your preference?
We're trying. We're an itty bitty company, and now it's about to become real big. So we're gonna have a little bit more support. We've always worn multiple hats and done it all ourselves, but we are going to be promoting where we will be, but also we have a very tight farm network of people doing great things, including fleet farming, where we can get that information out, and we have a little bit more support other than just ourselves, which is happening. So we have Seed to Source is our Facebook page, Seed #2 Source. Our new company is The Village is Grown, which we'll also soon have a Facebook page for. But you can always email me at Jennifer, as in my grandmother's words.
You had to go in the deep voice too.
Well, it's Jewish grandmother.
Oh yeah, Jewish grandmother.
Jennifer. JENNIFER at seed2source #2.com. And I can give you information, and soon I hope to have a little bit more help so we can direct all these questions and availability of where we are, our farm partners are, so that you can engage and interact.
And we'll share all of Jen's contact information again in writing. When she posts the show, she'll post how to reach out to her, how to get to some of these resources that she's talked about on the show. Because I think there's a lot of people interested in, yes, I would love mobile farmers, so I wouldn't have to wear the overalls and the straw hat.
Oh, I wear that.
I mean, I might. I mean, I've been known to wear some crazy stuff, so maybe that's a good idea one day. So please know that we're going to share everything. Any parting words of wisdom for them? Anything you want to share? Anything that you think is important for them to know before we head out?
I think everyone should explore the fact that food is being grown all around you. And the closest you are to your food source, the closest you are to your own health and well-being. And that's not just from an internal standpoint, but from an ethical standpoint. Why would you send your tax dollars away from your own community of which your food is growing? Why would you send food out of your community only to come back to you when it has no nutrients and you pay a premium on it? We can change that, but we all have to work together on that.
God, I love it. All right, you were amazing. I knew you would be. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for
Love your
having
pieces.
me.
Adam, thanks for sitting
Oh,
over
and
there.
these are from Paramore Farmers Market. So
Paramore
please
Farmers
show up.
Market. I love that. I pass it all the time.
Yes.
So we'll post that too. You can give her a shout out when we share the show. Put her, however you reach out to that Chauncey.
Yes.
However you reach out to Chauncey, we'll post all of that too because those are cool. You said you have corn too and something else.
I've got corn. I've got carrots and other things up
I
my
might
sleeve.
even wear those.
I've got a cornucopia of stuff coming.
There it is, a cornucopia. All right. On that note, happy Friday. You guys have a beautiful, wonderful Labor Day weekend. I'll be back in a little while to talk about Freedom Friday. Got a big topic to talk about this afternoon. But we love you. Thank you so much, Jen, for being on. Adam, thank you for coming. He's behind the scenes today. Talk to you soon. Mwah.